we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 105 of The Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. Today I'm coming to you from deep beneath the Earth's surface in my secret underground lair in a city not my own after a lengthy day of working for unappreciative clients, handing out questionable advice at high prices. Terrific. So yeah, man, it's been like 4 days of, just doing my thing. And I'll tell you something, dude. The typical hotel room, I am a bit on the fatigued side with the typical hotel room. A few weeks ago, I did have the sporting opportunity to be in a pretty nice hotel. This place actually had a Nespresso, which I don't know that I had ever. I think I'd seen it before, but I had never monkeyed around with it before. But as it turned out, I had some extra time before I had to be anywhere. I was like, let's just take a look at this fucking thing and see what happens. Apparently, the deal with the Nespresso, it is like just as the name implies, like it's an espresso machine, but it works like a Keurig, yeah. And, dude, I was going to get a little workout. And I'm like, let me just crank down some of this coffee real fast here. So I fire it up and it's like, doodly-dood, like gives me the little 1 or 2 ounce pour thing. I'm like, all right, well, this kind of sucks. But it was pretty cool, though. And it was a nice hotel. So that was a nice change. But this time I'm in the common hotel, the commoner's hotel, the commonest, most common. And it's one of them deals where, I don't know, maybe it's because like you spend enough time in a hotel, like the little things you'll notice and it'll start to piss you off. So like in the morning, man, like there's a lot of the business schnooks that are here, you know, in your average working stiff hotel, like not a luxury scene at all. But like you go downstairs in the morning, people want to get some fucking coffee, right? They want to get some fucking coffee. They want to go to whatever bullshit meeting they got to go to. They want to get down the road. And what do you got to deal with now, man? Now I've got Shaniqua back here that's on her third fucking smoke break for the morning. And they put out some fucking sign that's like written in Ebonics. We're like, I'll be back in just a little while. Don't be, we're sorry for your inconvenience and shit. And then comes back like you're the fucking inconvenience. Like doesn't even look at you. Like, can I help you? I'm like, yes, bitch, you can give me some fucking coffee. I'm not asking for much over here. Anyway, shit like that, shit like sharing the elevator with the fucking help, like the stumpy Guatemalan chick pushing a giant thing full of jizz-soaked towels. I'm not interested in this, dude. Like, I just want to get downstairs, wait 20 minutes for Shaniqua to make my coffee, and I can get out the door and go do my kook of a fucking job. But, yeah, it starts to wear on you a little while. Anyway, so yeah, like insult to injury, I'm hanging out in this hotel room, and it's got, I don't think there's, I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to it, man. I really think that there's cats that just, they buy the franchise or whatever, and they get this fucking hotel, and then they just kind of do what they want with it. And I don't know if there's, I'm too lazy to look into it. Maybe there's like certain standards of like, if you own a fucking Embassy Suites, then you got to have this, and that. If you own a Spring Hill Suites or whatever, then it's got to have this, and that. And if you own, I don't know what the fuck I'm staying in this time, something shitty. But then it can be like, you basically got the pay-by-the-hour TV situation. You got some busted up beds. The sheets are like sandpaper and like, wow, this is fucking sweet. But man, so here's what I'm getting to, man, is I got this TV situation, and like if I'm working on something or if I'm in the room just getting like a little stretch or something, I like to leave the TV on, just have some background noise, something, man, even if it's like, something to get me motivated, like Rachel Maddow, like nothing gets me fucking spun like a Hebrew dyke with a man jaw on here telling me about, how she can't believe that shit is as fucked up as it is, where she's only getting, I'm sure, a few $1 million from USAID, which we'll come to forthwith. Anyway, I put this shit on and I turn it on, and you got a good idea of what you're going to get. You pick up the remote and it's this clunky like 1950s thing that somebody had stuck in their couch. And I turn the thing on and it's like, there's no guide, there's no nothing, just like, here, just flip through channels. You don't even know what you're going to get. It's going to take a second. Finally, it'll come on. And I'm flipping. I finally get like an HBO situation. And it's like, if you haven't seen this shit, you got to look for these fucking things. There's, like, I want to say it was like in the 60s. There was this movie called The Pink Panther. And the cartoon with the big fucking Pink Panther. And he walks around and does wacky shit. And it's just fucking weird. But they made a movie about it, and the idea of this movie was like some fucking cat burglar, and he's going to steal this fucking giant diamond or some kind of shit. And there's this bumbling inspector that, like haphazardly manages to foil the whole plot, and it's silly and funny or whatever. But it's like from the 60s, dude. And it's supposed to be like this French flavor, like a very French thing. And like, he's a beautiful wife, but she doesn't love him so much, and she cheats with him with the handsome cat burglar. And it's fucking dorky, but whatever. It's the 60s, right? But now fast forward, and in the 80s, they made these ones that were like cocaine-fueled fucking madness. So like the 60s one, it was already a little bit silly. One, because it's the fucking 60s and like, let's do something fucking silly. But the 80s, dude, it was like you can literally feel the cocaine coming through the fucking screen. Where like these people had to have been zooted out of their fucking minds coming up with this wazoo shit of dude dressed like a caveman walking through a hotel bar sniffing dogs' asses or some kind of thing. And I'm like, what in the hell is this? But I mean, now, like when this shit came out, I was like a little kid. And I remember like, I'd watch the cartoon and shit, and that's good fun. But then it's like, your folks don't know any better, and they're like, let's go see a movie. Look, the Pink Panther, that's good fun. There was one in the 60s and it was kind of funny. And you're sitting there like, what the fuck is this? And so, yeah, I'm sitting here with this and I'm trying to work on this PowerPoint, and I got, Jacques Clouseau over here doing crazy shit. Like, obviously, the whole cast is just fucking hitting the slopes and going back for more. I don't know, man, like keeping Columbia in business. But, yeah, it was just, it was good fun. It was some weirdness, man, and just kind of fit with the whole surreal, complete dog shit story that this whole year has become. Apart from that, though, and continuing on with some other bullshit stories, man, I had started recording the other day, and then I got, I had this, like, I got to get straightened out with the microphone situation. And I'll tell you, it's not like a funds shortage. It's like a why the fuck can I not find what I'm looking for shortage. Because I got a new phone, and I had this cool little microphone that plugged into the end of the phone, and that was actually pretty cool. But then I got a different phone, and it's like, all right, let me try to just plug this. Yeah, no, it doesn't fucking work. So terrific. So I'm trying to find all these different ones. I ordered one, this like cool, I think, what do you call it? Like Laval mic or some shit that attaches to like your shirt, and you just walk around and talk. And it's like the kind that you'd see like somebody's making a dog shit video or something. And oh yeah, it's that one. It's like a little square like attached to some dude's shirt. And I was like, yeah, I could sport that. I could walk through the airport and I could talk while I'm driving or whatever. And I ordered this thing, and it comes in like the package is like crushed, like somebody had it in their ass or something. And I'm like, what? Why? I'm not asking for much, but this is what you get. So anyway, what the fuck was I even talking about? So yeah, I had started recording, man. And then like this microphone that I'm using, it'll just turn off if somebody texts or calls. So I got to turn all that shit off if I'm going to record. And I forgot to do it. So I'm driving along and I'm recording. And then I look and I've got like one of these fucking spam texts from like Jing Zhao Wan, like telling me to pay an overdue parking ticket. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. And like, obviously it's fucking spam. I don't understand fucking Chinese people, dude. Like Chinese and Indians, like, motherfucker, I know that you're not who you say you are. Check this shit out. I actually had a dude out here where I'm working, man. This dude shows me this email, and he's like, hey, take a look at this, man. Like, hey, Coffee, come here, take a look at this. And the dude's like, he's extremely Southern, man, like very foghorn leghorn. And he's like, hey, look at this email, man. I'm not sure what to make of this, and I kind of want to get your take on it. Like, look at this. Does this look genuine to you? And I look at it like, 2 seconds in, I'm like, no, this is fucking fake, dude. Look at this. I'm like, look at this right here. Like the fucking grammar is all jacked up and like, sir, we are needing to having your attention to these matter. And I'm like, dude, how do you look at that? He's like, I thought maybe it was a typo. I'm like, you can have one typo. A typo is like one letter out of place or some shit, but it's not this completely bastardized grammatical situation. But apparently that is one of the, I actually looked it up. I was like, is this like a fucking thing, or am I like fucking secret spam mail genius or what? But I looked this shit up, dude. It is like a thing that like, apparently English grammar is a real motherfucker if you don't, know how to operate it. So like these Chinese cats and these Indian cats that are like, hello, sir, I am being the IRS and you are having to tell me this one. And like, dude, stop it. Like, just fucking quit it, man. You listen to you. But I don't know if it's, maybe it's the boomer thing where they're like, oh no, I don't want to be racist. And like, maybe he's a good American and he's still learning or something. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, if you can't speak English, I'm not giving you fucking money. And obviously, I don't know. It's like, it was like this thing we had called a running password. Like if you're out in the bush and you're getting shot at and you come a running and somebody's hiding out and they're not sure who you are. It's like this challenge and reply thing. And they'd come up with these really complex ones with, it's like sum of 9, where like you're running along trying to get back to your boys and they see you, but they're not sure who you are and you don't see them. So somebody behind a bush will be like 5. And you got to do the math real quick and like, wait, what was the fucking thing? It's like sum of 9, right? So now you got to say 4. And now they won't fucking shoot you in the head, right? So me, if I'm on the run, dude, and like they're after me and you come to me with like 4, I'll be like, get the fuck out of the way. They shooting. But I talked to another guy that was like, nah, man, like the old school secret squirrel one was Magilla Gorilla. Because these motherfuckers can't say Magilla Gorilla. So if, wherever the fuck you are, it's like a mighty tongue twister where like, you're cruising along with somebody's, even if they're dressed up, like you or something, and you're like, hey, Magilla. And they're like, even if they've heard of it before and they know what to say, they can't do it. Gorilla. Like, go find some Indian dude and tell him, like, hey, have you ever seen that one cartoon with the gorilla wearing a little derby? And I can't remember what it was called. Do you remember what it's called? Magura Gorilla? Like, yeah, now I can shoot you. Hooray, terrific. Anyway, so yeah, some of the wacky shit going on. I got one thing that I want to hit on, and I'm saving that, dude, because I was very fired up. I was fired up to no end on this thing. So I'm going to save that so I can rant good and long on it. But some of the other cool shit going on, dude. Zion Dawn, man, I'm not a fan, but I'll tell you, I'm an intermittent fan, at least, of this thing happening now. We'll see how it goes, and I'll get to my uncertainties on this. But some cats are saying Doge. I don't like that. I like the Doge thing, but whatever, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, Elon the autist out there breaking nuts and, turning off spigots. I'm a fan of that shit. I like that. And even if a fix is in, I don't think you're going to get that autist to understand any of that. Like that guy is out there on seek and destroy mode. And some of this shit, man, if you haven't seen it, I mean, I will imagine that you have. There is some pretty cool shit going on where basically it appears that where a lot of people were talking about, yeah, bro, all this money gets funded through CIA, or all this money gets funded through state, or all this money gets funded through X, Y, and Z, and, fucked around to various entities around the globe. It was actually USAID appears to have been the slush fund whereby all of this money gets pumped out to whoever, wherever. So some of the things that they're saying that they're canceling, all right, so they're talking about we uncovered all of these goofball programs where all this money was going. And some of the stuff they're talking about is like a transgender opera in fucking Peru, or gay fucking circus act in Ireland, or like all kinds of crazy shit. Trannies in Guatemala, all like insane shit. All right. They're also talking about the stuff that I think they were doing, stuff like running a shit ton of money to like Politico, running a shit ton of money to the New York Times, all this kind of thing to push these agendas. Oh, a couple of them were like Angelina Jolie getting $20 million to go to Ukraine and tell Zelensky he's a fucking hero. Orlando Bloom got like, I think, $8 million to go to what do you call it, Ukraine there and tell Zelensky what a great fucking guy he is. And long and short, so dipshits like, Americans can be like, well, look, Orlando Bloom likes it. I should probably be happy about this. That fucking Zelensky guy, he's a proper hero. Look, Angelina Jolie fucked him, right? So that was the scam there. But the pisser of it was that, like, it's your fucking tax dollars. They're giving these dippy bitches this money, so they go over there and give this guy a hug, and it's going to make you somehow okay with, like, hey, so I could send this guy like $200 billion now? Is that cool with you guys? And apparently for most dipshit Americans, it is, right? And I guess then the topper on the Ukraine situation was Zelensky comes out, and he's talking about, like, yeah, I never got a bunch of that money. Now, is this guy bullshitting? I don't know. I mean, I do feel, 1,000% certain that if they say $10 billion is going out the door to Ukraine, $10 billion ain't showing up at that guy's doorstep, wrapped in a fucking, paper bag or some shit. Like, it's showing up well short of that. And there's going to be a bunch of money going into a bunch of kosher pockets. But this guy came out talking about, like, I didn't even see half of that amount that you're talking about. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So what I think might turn out to be interesting is when these fuckers start rolling over on each other, trying to save their own skin. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that end up with their balls in a sling. Apart from that, though, some of these programs they're talking about where, they're talking about, I shit you not, like tranny operas in Colombia or Ireland or some shit. Like, you're legit sending my tax dollars, your tax dollars, to these places to get some tranny to fucking, put on a fucking stage play. We're doing Gone with the Wind with trannies, all trannies, whatever. So, I'll tell you what my take on this shit is, that I don't think that this shit ever even happened, man. I think this is horsecock. I think this is, you're putting just whatever the fuck label you feel like putting on it. And I honestly feel like it's probably some kind of contest of, like, which tiny hat can come up with the most wazoo fucking title for something. It was like millions. I want to say it was like 10 or some odd $1 million worth of condoms to fucking Afghanistan. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is this shit? And then I got to stop and think of, like, no, dude, they're not sending they're not sending anything anywhere. Most likely they're sending money right to their friend Ira's pocket, and Ira's splitting it with Avi over there, and they're just down the road and living the good life. So all of this excitement about, oh my God, some of this shit that's getting spent, I don't think it was ever getting spent on any of that shit. Some of the things I do think was getting spent on, I did see one screen grab of where they're showing all of these immigrant aid organizations, and I'll be damned if it was. I mean, you already know, like, the thing about the Catholic organizations were like, Catholics to help immigrants, immigrant resettlement, Catholic house, Father Dickstein's fucking, immigrant invader halfway home, or, home for errant future hookers, or whatever the fuck, right? But it's never Catholic, because when you look at the names, it's like, again, Ira Goldstein and Miriam Fessler or whatever the fuck. It's all Hebrews, dude. But one of these screen grabs I saw that really caught my eye was a lot of these, they've shifted away from the Catholic thing and they've shifted on to Lutheran now. So Lutheran Immigrant Aid Society, Lutheran Home for, wandering future doctors or whatever the fuck, but it's all Lutheran. And it's so fucking weird, man. The thing where we talk about, like, the only people that know what's going on is Jews and Nazis. And it's like, if you know their little game, it's like you can see the thing and they can see the thing, but nobody else, like, even if you tell them, they don't fucking see it. It's like being the fucking Da Vinci Code or some shit, where you're wandering around and you're looking at all these statues and all these arrows and these faces and the pointing fingers and all this. And it's like you can read it like a book and you're like, it's right fucking there. Look at it, man. How do you not see this? But this Lutheran thing, if you haven't seen this, man, you are missing the fuck out, dude. I read, this is one of the books I read early on where it really started becoming apparent to me that, like, these motherfuckers have been a problem for a long, long time. But Martin Luther, yes, that Martin Luther, the one with the, whatever it is, 95 Thesis and the whole deal, fucking that Martin Luther, yeah? Not Martin Luther Kuhn, not that Martin Luther, the German one, the original one, right? This dude wrote a book called The Jews and Their Lies. Like, you can't put a price on this shit. And this dude, like, you want to talk about a dude that gets in people's asses. Like, this dude had no love for these grabblers, man. It was pretty tip top. And he just went on and on and on. And it was like, I mean, I don't know, what year that was. It was fucking 15 something. I don't have any idea. I can't remember. Somebody smarter than me figure out when Martin Luther was, right? 95 Thesis. Anyway, it's like, if you got nothing else going, obviously you don't have TV, you don't have many places to go. It's not like you got to catch the metro. You have to catch the U-Bahn and, get over to work or whatever. You got nothing else to do. And this guy just wall posted, man. This guy did almost like a lefty wall post kind of a thing where, like, these motherfuckers, and just went on and on and on. So you can see where, these Hebrews, they do this thing where, like, oh yeah, that guy doesn't like us. Well, let's name it the Martin Luther Foundation. Haha, it's like their own little thumb in the eye. Just like they do with Ford, just like they do with all this shit, So I thought that was kind of interesting. But I mean, you really notice the kosher fingerprints on it when, like us, you know what to look for and you recognize the little insults, just like they recognize our dog whistles when we say the things that we say. And, we try to say, like, oh, no, what? I'm not talking about it. I'm just saying I want the trains to run on time, man. I'm just saying I'm going to give you a set of pajamas and off you go. Anytime you put wooden doors in anything and they're like, oh, you motherfucker, like, I know you know who you are, and, like, you're not going to get fucking banned off of anything for just writing wooden doors, but they know what you mean, and we know what you mean. You know where I'm going with this. So, it was just something I thought that was interesting, and I will be interested to see if it goes anywhere else, because kind of the direction I feel like this is going is after Trump came out with this shit the other day talking about, Gaza, amazing people. We have to stop the fighting. We have to stop fighting. It has to stop. That's something we must do. And I think America is going to come in. America will take over. We're going to rebuild it. America will rebuild it. And everybody's like, yay, hooray. And I talked to a couple people where they're talking about, like, well, no, you see, this is smart now because, like, nobody can fuck around now, bro, because, like, America's there now, bro. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, this is the worst possible fucking deal, because here's what I'll tell you, kind of what I think will probably happen. Then I'll tell you what I think the actual 4D chess plan for this fucking caper could be. So I think this is a worst possible scenario, because if Americans get attacked, right, like an American base gets rocketed and people get fucked up while they're over there, bunny ears rebuilding or whatever, that's just going to be like the war is going to be on, right? So let's say bunny ears, right, big fucking bunny ears. Your Iranians launch something, launch a rocket into some American base. They kill a bunch of dudes. Bunch of people get fucked up. It's on the news like first thing in the morning, and it's going to be, that fucking does it. We're fucking these people up. Obviously, Iran is not that fucking stupid. They would not do that. I mean, you saw how they acted with the Israel situation. They could have flattened these motherfuckers, but they also knew that we would be right there, as Israel's greatest lapdog, and then we would go right to their ass. Well, like not like I'm fucking showing up. I'm not dying for Israel. But America would do that for them because, obviously America is occupied territory. So Iran didn't do any of that shit. So America goes over there, sets up shop. Oh, we're going to rebuild fucking Palestine. How hard now is it to send something in there, to drive a V-bid up to the front gate, to just get in there and somehow fuck a bunch of people up and then point the finger straight at Iran and be like, it was those fuckers. And now here we are going to fucking war again. I mean, that's the easy button. The slightly less easy button is the one that I think it would end up going as, and that's where they're talking about, well, we're gonna move everybody out, so we can rebuild, and then we'll move them back after. And I think the way that ends up is with all of these, well, like mostly Mexicans, and all of this bullshit going on in the U.S. And I do think that a lot of this shit is by design. All the bitching you hear, all the marches. Tell me somebody actually gives a fuck about these people. Dude, get the fuck out of here. All the videos, all the fucking outraged liberal white women car selfies. Dude, I will tell you something, like probably my least favorite form of media is this thing that I've seen lately out of liberal white women, or a lot of beaner women too, where they're sitting in their fucking car or they're standing in their shitty apartment and they're just doing this thing where they just stare at the camera and then they like shake their head and like, ugh, and then like wave their hands like, motherfucker. Oh, I'm so serious. And like they just do this for like 30 seconds. And the whole time there'll be just some dipshit fucking quote about like, Mexicans are good people. No human is illegal. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. You're the people who would have ratted out fucking Anne Frank. And I'm like, no, I'm the people who would have ratted out Anne Frank. Come on, help me help you, dude. Like, at least get this shit right if you're going to say it. But you see a lot of that shit. And I got to ask, like, who the fuck actually cares? Like, nobody gives a fuck about this. So for my money, I think the thing is like we're going to get a bunch of the Mexicans, a bunch of the Guatemalans, going to launch them the fuck out. There's this big fucking stink about it. And then they're going to come back with, oh, well, now look, who's going to pick lettuce for fucking nickels? And that fucking argument, man, that is the weakest fucking argument. These are jobs that Americans are too lazy to do. And I'll tell you what, especially this time of season, you take a look at this. What's coming up, I guess, this weekend? Fucking Super Bowl, right? And these are motherfuckers from a segment of the population that is traditionally much lazier than any other segment of the population. But these people will put out long and hard to get a job running full speed into other fully grown men. And why? Because you're going to get paid several $1 million to do it. That's fucking why. So now you compare this to somebody picking lettuce. Like, don't come to me with like, oh, picking lettuce is just too hard. Picking lettuce is a job that only a Mexican could do. Dude, you give me $10 million, I'll go pick lettuce like 10 motherfuckers, right? And I actually had a conversation. I can't remember if I mentioned this before, but I had a conversation with a libtard that just could not get their head around this shit. They're like, well, look, man, if you kick out all these Mexicans that are picking lettuce at nickels an hour, well, then they're going to have to hire, legitimate, normal Americans and pay them a livable wage. And there's going to be, all the Social Security and all the taxes and all this shit. And they're going to have to increase the price of lettuce. And I'm like, all right, let me stop you right there, dude, because you're thinking of this shit as though, people that own the lettuce farm or the strawberry farm or the guy running the fucking construction company, as though he's doing his utter best to make these prices as low as humanly possible. Like this guy's losing fucking sleep. He's like sitting over the kitchen table with the fucking adding machine, fucking ching, 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 ching. And like, how can I do it? How can I help people pay less for my product? No, such is not the case. They're looking at this shit. They're looking at the competition and they're saying, how can I charge as much as humanly possible? So I say, look, man, this lettuce, these strawberries, these construction deals, you are paying as much as these fuckers can squeeze out of you. The point is not about how much do they pay some Mexican to pick that lettuce or how much do they pay some Guatemalan to carry those 2x4s over there and nail them together. It's about how much are you willing to pay to get that shit. And if you were willing to pay more, they would be charging you more. You're already paying what the market will bear. So stop with this shit, all right? And I get this look like, I don't understand. I don't think so. I'm like, look, you motherfuckers are always the ones talking about the widening gap between rich and poor. And yeah, it is a thing. Rich people are having more shit and people who don't have as much are having a motherfuck of a time getting by. I don't really know how a lot of people are even staying afloat. Like shit is getting spendy quickly. So if you already know that, you already know that people are paying as much as those fuckers can squeeze out of them. All this is fucking saying is one, that now you're not going to be able to get super discount labor, but two, all the money that you were going to be paying to Alejandro or who the fuck ever to pick that lettuce or nail those 2x4s, that money was going back to fucking Mexico or all the way to Guatemala and leaving the American economy. That's whatever it is, $100, $1,000, however much it is, it's gone. And it's going to be a long time until it works its way back here. So it's a double boost here, right? People are getting decent jobs. These motherfuckers actually have to fucking pay people to do the fucking work. That money stays in the economy. and 2 or 3 problems get fixed at once. And all you have to do is kick out these people who are already breaking laws that are on the fucking books. But whether or not anybody gets their head around that, who the fuck knows? And I quite honestly think that most of these people don't want to get their head around it. They want to be outraged. They want to be upset. They want to be bummed out. They want to feel fucking terrible, because they live in a country that their forefathers built and it doesn't suck like so many other places in the world. That ain't my fucking problem. All I could say, and what I've been saying, is access to white people is not a human right. All right. So if you want a nice place, build a nice place. Get the fuck out of my place. All right. I'm not interested in that shit. The other part of that, though, something I thought was funny was recently a couple of these deals where they send these flights full of deportees out of here, and there were places that were saying, oh, no, we're not going to take them. So like Mexico tried saying, no, we're not going to take them. Colombia says, no, we're not going to take them. Venezuela tried saying, no, we're not going to take them. And what I thought was pretty funny was as soon as they say, okay, well, we're going to put fucking some heavy tariffs on your ass, they're like, well, no, we'll put tariffs on you. And then it's like, okay, go ahead and do that. But you're taking these fucking people. And then it's like, and they folded like a fucking lawn chair, man. And what I thought was interesting, and then what kind of pissed me off, was that as soon as they start breaking nuts and saying, all right, Mexico, fuck stick, you're going to take these people or we're going to put tariffs on your ass. And they tried to call the bluff and like, okay, no, this is fucking happening. And they say, like, basically, how can we get you to not put these tariffs? Okay, well, you can secure your side of the border. You can get some fucking troops over there, get this cartel situation ironed out, and then we'll hold off on these tariffs. Okay, and it's done. And what pisses me off is that, so you could have done this shit this whole time. So this business of like, yeah, I don't know, man, you guys want cocaine, you want fentanyl and, cartels. How can I possibly stop? I can't, there's nothing I can do. Okay, how about we hammer your ass with some tariffs? Okay, I can get it done tomorrow. Oh, right. There we are. So again, this is assuming any of this shit actually happens, because I imagine what will happen is just what you would expect with Claudia Scheinbaum, where she says, oh, yes, Goy, I'm going to secure our side of the border. I'll hold up our end of the deal. We can make a deal. And then it's going to get sloppy and it's not going to be done quite up to speed. So, we'll see if things continue to deteriorate. But as far as what I think the big picture plan on this thing is I think to kind of figure out what these people are after, like what they're up to, I think, instead of guessing so much forward, I think we can take a look at what has happened and deduce a little bit in terms of what were these fucks trying to pull off that just didn't, because you got to be honest and say like a lot of shit just didn't work out. It didn't go Israel's way. They had a pretty decent plan. I'll tell you straight, I think that Trump was the curveball. I think he thought he was doing a solid, but I think he did not have a total grasp of what these fucks had in mind. And if you look at the situation, I think you could look at this whole Israel October 7th thing, and it kind of appears that was kind of their end game, what they were hoping was going to be kind of an end game, like a reset point that like, all right, we're going to, we're moving on from here. We're at the top of the pyramid. We got a plan, and, this is a done deal. It does not, obviously, it didn't go that way. So what appears to have happened was that I think they wanted, back in 2016, they wanted to get Hillary in charge. They wanted to continue to wear America down, kind of expend resources, expend fighting men, keep going at it in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then eventually get the fuck out of there. And by the time you get the fuck out of there, because that's the only thing you can really, what the fuck else are these trips for, dude? What the fuck are you doing in Afghanistan anyway? This is just where empires go to die, right? So you keep the Iraq thing going, keep Afghanistan going until basically the U.S. is totally shot out. Anybody who could put up a struggle is dead or crippled or PTSD'd out of their fucking mind and medicated into a coma. Now you get back here, Hillary is running the show as she either goes for a second term or winds down. Now it's time for Israel to step in and run this October 7th op, which very obviously was an op. And for my money, kind of the dead giveaway on that was this beeper situation. Because you're saying, oh, we got totally caught off guard. Oh, all this crazy shit happened. Oh, wow. But luckily we had this thing that's been worked on for years by their own admission. Yeah, we started this years and years and years ago. So you had this thing going for years and years, and now this kicks off. They obviously burn their victim card because you can't go around just shooting people as they're, fleeing to tent cities that you told them to go to. You're going to lose your victim status when you do that shit, but they were obviously very willing to lose that victim status. So they burned their victim card. They put their little multi-year beepers of death plan into play. And I think the idea was that you're going to be able to just smoke all these people. America's going to be so fucked up that they're focused on their own shit show, probably slugging it out with cartels or just trying to keep the lights on. They could do what they want. They take Gaza. They take West Bank. The Syria thing worked out for them. But you're going to get Syria, you're going to get a piece of Lebanon, and now you're pretty much set. I mean, that's not the total picture of Greater Israel, but you're off to a real solid start, and you can kind of slow roll and steamroll your way into your proper Greater Israel picture. You don't need your victim card anymore. You don't need America anymore. It served its purpose. You're at the top of the pyramid, and you can turn the U.S. into a third world labor camp. You're all set, ready to start a new chapter. It didn't fucking work out that way, right? Like it totally went to shit. I don't know that the Russia thing, maybe, I think they tried to parlay the Russia thing into the piece where America burns itself out, trying to fuck with this Ukrainian thing. I'm not completely sure if somebody caught wise and is like, hey, let's suck the rest of Western Europe into this too, and maybe we save a little something for ourselves. But whatever it was, it didn't fucking work out. So now this leaves these Israelis in a spot where, like, you didn't get your Greater Israel, you did burn your victim card, and America is still not completely fucked. So I think the move now is we were just going to let it, as they say, dry up and blow away, but it didn't work out, so we kind of still need it. Let's get it built back up. Let's get it up and functional again. And maybe we kind of reboot or we relook at this thing in a few years, maybe try again. Because I think that's a huge component of this, like really just the blanket switching off of all the bullshit of like all of the DEI shit. I guess with the military now, they're not doing any more of this shit of like Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Hey, come on outside and enjoy a fucking Spam sandwich or whatever the hell. Like, they're turning all that shit off. And I don't think it's by accident, man. I think it really is like, yeah, we were going to just, like, shit can this whole place, and it didn't work out. So now we got to get it up and running again because we still need it. And I think we're going to, you're going to have, like, a couple of good years again, and then we're going to be right back in the mix with this same bullshit. Maybe trying to figure out a new way to flush this whole thing down the toilet. But we shall see. But what that does leave us with is at least a few years probably to get our shit together and figure out, what are we going to do? How are we going to take charge? Because it's not beyond the pale at this point. I mean, I think you can look at this thing and say like, hey, these Jews today are not the smart fuck Jews of yesteryear. Like, there were some sharp motherfuckers that were running shit. They played that victim role real well. Like, oh, God, I'm just a little fella. Don't hurt me so bad. And meanwhile, they're stabbing you in the fucking kidneys. I think these guys today, these are fucking balloon heads. This Jonathan Greenblatt, I mean, what a fucking dipshit, man. I mean, that guy can't get out of bed without fucking something up, man. I mean, he's like the boomer of the Hebrew, tiny hat club. Like, this guy, like, you really shot yourself in the fucking foot. Like, you haven't done anything fucking right. Like, yeah, I'm going to get out here and just totally flex on everybody. You question my victim status, that's your ass. But they do have a lot of control with this Trump motherfucker, and this guy just signed this combating anti-Semitism thing, which, I mean, again, like, yeah, I appreciate the effort. I see the effort, guy. But again, I don't think Zion Dawn completely understands that the root of Jewish power is in their ability to remain invisible. So, if it's visible and you're talking about it in any way, shape, or form, if you're saying, hey, these Jews get a bad racket, somebody's got to protect them, there's going to by default be somebody on the other side. It is going to be us because there's enough of us at this point saying, yeah, I don't really think so, man. Even if it's in the nicest possible tone of like, I'm not completely sure why that is. Why do you say that? And it's going to raise questions. And when questions get raised, it's only a matter of time before people are like, actually, these people are probably the main root of the problem. Maybe if we got rid of them, things just kind of right themselves. And now you're in real bad fucking shape again. And where are you going to go now? What are you going to do now, dipshit? You going to go to fucking Israel where you're talking about the U.S. setting up shop and basically owning this Gaza situation, which I'm not super fucking keen on. Man, I had a dude, well, there's a dude that I know that I worked with for a long time. And just a thing when dudes get out, when operators get out, dude, it's, especially you get a little bit older, guys will get out and you'll still do operational work. Like you go do security work, you go do, bodyguard work, just sit outside and watch my house work, any of this kind of shit. Guys will do this kind of thing. They'll go back overseas. I knew one dude that went overseas and was an armed, like this guy was a hitter, like a no shit hitter. And this guy was doing work, protecting the mail. Like you just make sure that the mail doesn't get robbed or whatever. Like, okay, you just ride along with the mail. Okay. Easy enough. And a guy was getting paid handsomely for it. Other dudes were doing dodgy jobs. I knew this mentally unstitched motherfucker. Like, I think there's, people talk about PTSD, man. And PTSD to me, is like, I did feel real bad for guys that got into situations that they are just not designed for. A lot of times, man, we'd be out working at night and we'd go roll up some dipshit and we bring him back and drop him off at a detention facility. And there would be some Marines in there from earlier in the day. It has happened more than a few times. And you go in there and you can kind of tell what happened. Like if you see a guy in there with like blood on his boots and on his knees and shit, and then, like some blood on his sleeves, like you won't have it on his hands because a lot of time they'll have gloves on. But you go in there and you see guys with blood all over like this, like somebody got fucking smoked and it's probably one of their guys and they're working on him and the guy just checked out and now they got to be in there filling out paperwork about here's what happened, here's what I saw, here's what I tried to do. And, so that there's some kind of clarity about like what happened and is there a way we can prevent this shit in the future. And you see these dudes, man, and that shit bummed me out, man, that like these are not cats that are designed for this. These are kids that came in like, I'm going to be somebody, bro. I'm going to have some pride, bro. I want to be the few, the proud. And like they're, they try to do the right thing. They're doing what they thought was the right thing. But instead, man, you're over here, your friend is just getting fucking smoked. And like to you, you're almost like fucking around, man. It's like just a little jungle adventure or some shit. But then, to these guys that you're out there fighting, like it's their fucking homeland, man. And they are fucking stupid. They're not too bright. They're kind of clumsy. They're poorly armed. But, to their credit, it's their fucking homeland and they're going to fucking slug it out. So these kids, man, they get fucked up, dude. And you just see it on their face like this was not what I had in mind. And it fucking sucks. I felt bad for them. Like me, I don't have that kind of PTSD type shit. Like I tell people I was an asshole when I showed up. So none of this really bothers me. And that ain't like a tough guy thing or some shit. That's just, it is what it is. But what I will say is just the lifestyle, that shit I saw hit a lot of guys real fucking hard. And this one guy that I'm sort of beating around the bush to, like it hit this guy like a fucking freight train. And I didn't know this guy at all early in his career. And everybody that I had talked to was like, oh yeah, dude, that guy, he was a real nice guy. Like he's like a little skinny dude, like a nice dude. And he was, again, like I had mentioned before, one of these handsome Dan motherfuckers. Like women love this fucking dude. And as he was around a little while, like he did 1 or 2 cycles and he got pretty fucking big. So he's jacked and he's pretty. But like during his first deployment, he was married and his wife was tending bar. And it just, I mean, I've seen it before. If you've been in the military, you've heard it before. There's this thing where it just sort of devolves and you just sort of know. And guys were talking about it like, yeah, man, like he'd call and she ain't home, or he'd call the house and she's having a party, or he'd get in touch with her and she's out at some fucking club. So basically it just devolved into like this guy's wife was tending bar, and by the time he got back, she was just getting run the fuck through. And it didn't sit well with him. Like it really, it affected him in a fucking way. So this dude, this guy was unstitched as fuck. So by the time I met this guy, like I had already been through, I had been through the Middle East and I had been through Asia a couple of times. And I mean, bro, Southeast Asia, like you can't walk through that shit and not get it on you, man. There's some wacky shit that goes on. We go down that road another fucking time. But we talked to this guy, you know, we're like, bro, all right, you know, you're out here with us now, man. So just take a wrap off. Fucking, you know, we're talking about him. You're talking to him about like, hey, bro, at this scene, you know, here's where we work. And, you know, we're going to do the Southeast Asia thing and this kind of shit. And he's like, yeah, you know, I think I could use a vacation, man. I'm going to get over there. Like, yeah, not so fucking fast, man. Like, slow your roll, dude. You need to kind of know the rules of the road because you're going to get up here and accidentally hook up with a fucking dude or get yourself fucking beat over the head. I do know a guy that went to Southeast Asia on his own and pissed somebody off and got his head cracked open for the efforts. I was like, yeah, dude, don't fuck around. He's like, no, I don't give a shit, dude. And he just fucking rolled out. So this guy rolled out to Thailand for like weeks and came back and he's all fucking sleeved up. And he was a different person, man. He was like, and you know what's crazy is like, women seem to love it, dude. Like came back like this person was unstitched and dangerous. And we're like, bro, you gotta relax a little, man. Let's get your head straight. He's like, yeah, man, I don't give a fuck, dude. And this guy had a little, not an apartment, like a small house. I don't know what you'd even call it. He called it his cottage, but I guess cottage is about as good as you could call it. But he had this fucking place, man, and he put this like diamond plate hitch fucking deal on this kind of I-beam that was over the top of the middle of the main room, you know, kind of this supporting structure. And he's got this diamond plate deal with like a fucking, like a fucking eye in there that you could snap link into or some kind of shit. And this fucking guy would, he'd invite girls to go rollerblading of all fucking things. We're like, what the fuck are you doing rollerblading? He's like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, all right, dude, don't get fucking nuts. This guy would get women to go rollerblading with him, and then he'd get them back to the pad, get drinks in them, get them fucking wacky, and then he'd fucking handcuff them and clip them onto that fucking little eyelet up there with like, I don't know, like a fucking snap link or something, like ka-clink, and they're just like stuck up there on fucking rollerblades. And then, you know, what does he get up to from there? Like, you know, leave it to your imagination. We're like, bro, you're going to end up in trouble doing some crazy shit like this. He's like, why don't you shut the fuck up, dude? Like, these broads come back again and again and again. And, you know, you meet some of these women, and like, sure enough, they do. Like, you're here again? I heard about what happened to you. Why are you here again? They just love it, dude. It's insane. They're just in it for the abuse. So, anyway, long story, extremely long. This guy, this unstitched motherfucker, I was doing this thing. I was doing this very dodgy business, this like very, like basically don't ever talk about this or you're going to fucking prison. So I'm not going to give you details. But I was doing this fucking thing and I was working out of this kind of secret squirrel location. And where we were, like they're doing this fucking, and let me fucking clarify here, dude. When you say like fucking secret squirrel location, safe house, bro. Like this ain't some shit where like some little old lady like slips you a key at a coffee shop and you spirit yourself away to some little fucking apartment that nobody knows about. Like maybe that shit's there, you know, someplace. I'm sure that version of that is out there maybe somewhere. Where I was, you say fucking safe house, it's like a fucking street that's like blocked off with armed fucking guards at each end and a fucking like security fucking gate and the whole fucking deal. It's a safe house, bro. I'm like, dude, it's like a goddamn armed up fucking neighborhood. Like nobody's fucking coming here. Everybody knows who you are and what you're fucking doing. But like getting out of here, like there's fuckers just sitting there watching you come in and out. Like, bro, I feel less safe now. I'd rather have my shitty little apartment. Just give me my shitty apartment. Where's an old woman with a key? I want that. But we had this fucking place, and we were moving from this place to some other place. So, like, lucky me, I was there to be fucking slave labor. So we're moving this shit. I grabbed this shit up, and I'm walking out the back. And now here's this fucking screwy motherfucker that I hadn't seen in years. Like, this dude got out. He was so fucking nuts. He got pissed off, and he got out at 17 years. 17 fucking years. So basically, like, all the shit you could have got, you know, like your little pittance of retirement, okay, but some of the little, like the medical benefits, some of the benefits where it's like, did you get injured, you know, while you were getting shot at or in simulated combat, like training? Did you fuck yourself up training? There's a different pot of money, and it's nice money, dude. Not practical joke nice money. Like, I'm not driving a fucking Benz over here. But I mean, it's nicer than working at fucking, you know, Walmart telling people you love them, you know, for minimum wage every hour. So this fucking guy, like completely unstitched, left at 17 years. Everybody was like, holy shit, that guy's gone forever. I walk out the back and out here's this motherfucker like cuckoo. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? He's like, oh, what's up, bro? I'm driving for the fucking agency. So this guy's only fucking job in life was to drive this up armored vehicle, go pick up snitches. And like, here's how dodgy this shit is. Like, this is the only vehicle that looks like this. It's like fucking washed and waxed. And now you're driving around picking up somebody that's going to rat out his fucking friends or his family member, drive him back here so somebody can quiz him on, you know, whether he's throwing straight dice or not, and then go back and drop these fucking jerks off and then hope to God you don't get shot up in the process. I'm like, all right, dude. And this was like the 2010s era. And this guy was making like $1,000 a day, tax-free, plus per diem, like living that sweet, sweet life, dude. And I was like, oh, you motherfucker. And it was like that kind of fucking guy that, you know, like he could shoot himself in the foot and somehow come up running faster. You know, I don't know. It was fucking bizarre. Anyway, long story long, like that era of the contracting thing, like it wound down and it ended. And it was pretty much what you'd expect, where like your Blackwater and this kind of shit. Like these guys started paying like, they were paying like $1,000 a day, like in the day when they wanted like legit hitters. And then it became like, how can we cut corners? You know, like how can we hire dipshits? So it went from hiring like legit operators, and you get over there and get paired up with like guys that you knew. You're like, oh bro, you got this guy, we got this guy. We got one guy that was like a ranger or some shit, and you know, we get him up to speed. All right, man. So you're real pleased with, you know, people you got. It devolved into where like the timeline where that guy I knew was going over here, like guarding the mail. Like this guy's working with fucking nitwits, like fucking meter maids, guys that somehow got in under the wire, some fat fuck ex-cop or some shit, you know, that's like, oh yeah, I qualled on a pistol once 10 years ago or some kind of wazoo shit. And, you know, guys are like, yeah, fuck this, you know, and then they're cutting your pay too. So they're like, well, how am I going to pay, you know, this meter maid $1,000 a day? So, you know, you got to take a pay cut too. Like, man, fuck this. But I looked into it once, man. I looked into doing the contract thing, and it is like everything else, man. It got weird and fucked up where they're like, okay, well, so you're going to have to go man this desk and like check IDs of people walking in and out of buildings for like a year, but that's just to get your qual in this area, that area. And then we could start looking at you like as a team lead or some kind of shit. And I'm like, yeah, no, dude, I'm not doing that shit. That sounds fucking stupid. So no, thank you. But what I'm seeing now, this guy, like, you know, it was a long, long time ago where I started this story, this guy that I knew that I had worked with like while I was in and since I got out, this dude hit me up today and was like, hey, bro, will you be like a reference for me if this company calls? And I was like, yeah, I guess, man. What do you got going? And he sends me the little blurb. And a lot of this shit, dude, a lot of these things in that, it's super fucking weird, dude. It's not official in any sense. It really is like, who do you know? Like some guy will send you a fucking text message. Like, bro, I saw this thing, man. This thing's going around. I thought of you, you know, see if you're interested. It's just a fucking text message. And it'll be just some guy with an email. And like, yeah, it's this, it's that. But so this guy that hit me up, he goes, hey, man, I wanted to use you for a reference, dude. So if these people call, you know, treat me right. I was like, yeah, for sure. I'm like, what do you, and I asked him like straight away, I'm like, bro, you're not looking to like going to fucking Gaza or some shit, are you? And he sends me the thing, and sure as shit, dude. And it's like $12.50 a day to be Overwatch / medical response in fucking Gaza, dude. And I guess he's talking about like, yeah, it's these Israelis, man, in some fucking checkpoint, and we're just on standby if shit goes down or they get shot at, or you know, if there's a bunch of us and we all get shot at, we're QRF for each like quick response for each other. And I was like, bro, I don't know, man. He's like, well, it's 10 grand up front and $12.50 a day. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, dude. But like, one, are they going to actually fucking pay you? And two, what the fuck are you going to spend if you get smoked? Because, I mean, like I was just saying, like, it's only in Israel's interest, to get you smoked. So if you could fucking clip, dude, just so they can start off World War III with fucking Iran, like, how you going to spend 10 grand then, dude? $12.50 ain't bad money, I guess, but I was like, dude, and then plus two, like you're protecting these Jews, dude. Fuck that. But he's not as sharp on that kind of thing, and a lot of guys really are like, yeah, I appreciate all that shit. I got to keep the lights on, So I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I'd say that's what I told him. Like, bro, I don't know that I would do this gig. I would probably take a different gig, take just about any other gig out there, because this might pay nice, but this shit ain't cool, man. And I could see. Seeing some shit that might actually fuck you up a little bit, that like watching these assholes like smoke people at a checkpoint or smoke somebody's kid at a checkpoint for looking at them crooked or some shit. Like I could see like, oh yeah, well now this is happening, and like zap. But now they'd want you standing in front of the man, and fuck that, for $12.50 a day. I'm not, rolling those dice. So anyway, that kind of leads me to the thing that I wanted to wrap up on. And this is, I was so fired up for like a whole day on this. And then I was looking and looking and looking, and there was no follow up, and I was very fucking distressed, but I'm going to run with it anyway. I'm going to hold out that maybe someday it switches on. But anyway, one of these things that I saw getting floated around that, Elon had actually retweeted was this idea of the Letter of Marque, letters from the king saying that you are authorized to smoke the shit out of people. And they're talking about like, hey, you want to get rid of this cartel action? You got concerns about cartels? Give organizations letters of marque to go and do the work, to go and cut these fuckers down. Let them keep a chunk of whatever they take. Have them bring people back, some way of verifying that you're going after who you're supposed to go after, but just give them like an authorization to go and do the dirty work. I was like, oh, motherfucker. I was like, that would be the coolest thing. That would be the coolest deal ever. I would be signed up times 10, like you're roaming the seven seas as a dirty pirate, cutting down cartel fucks. That would be outstanding. But I mean, as soon as that came out, like a few days after it came out, you'd see again more of these little dipshit, woman TikTok deals where it's like Mexican chicks talking about the cartels don't play, bro. Like, what? Shut the fuck up, dude. Because yeah, I'm sure that like it's easy to be a hard motherfucker against like some 17-year-old kid that stole a few spoons of fucking coke off you, and now you're gonna cut his head off and hang him off a bridge. Like, oh, these guys are fucking serious. I mean, dude, I've burned down people's houses before. It's not a bad time, dude. And I feel like, yeah, just give me the fucking paper, dude. Like, cause I mean, if you think about this shit, people do like to shit talk Americans with like, ooh, soft ass Americans. But dude, if shit ever gets weird, when you see, especially when it was like Black Lives Matter time and let's burn shit down time, what was everybody's primary concern? If you got to get it on, is it that, oh, I might get smoked, I might get bested, like they might be a step ahead of me? No. Your primary concern is, I hope I don't get in trouble for this. That's your only real fucking concern. Right? I hope the cops don't show up and snatch me up over this shit. Trying to protect your house or your family, and like, yeah, this guy's prying on my front door and I unloaded into him. Man, please don't get me in trouble. That's your concern. I mean, let's be fucking honest about that shit. If I have letters from the king that say, no, man, go and do my bidding. Dude, the last thing I'm worrying about is getting in trouble. And the first thing Mr. Sombrero should be worrying about is like, have I got my affairs in order? But anyway, I haven't seen anything further on it, man. So I'm a little bit bummed out. I was hoping it would take off and maybe it would be like, if you want to get in on this, whatever, contact these guys, those guys, and we'll see what we can do. Maybe it still will. Who knows, man? But until then, I'll just be in the back sharpening my blade and stretching out my eye patch or whatever. Anyway, I think that's just about as much as I can stand, and you've probably had your fill. Hey, I'm going to try this thing where I, like on the Telegram version, I'll attach the, like a link to the fucking channel or whatever and see if I can do that. Because somebody was saying like, hey, dum-dum, you should do this. And, I'm technically extremely impaired. So I'm going to see if I can make it work. But anyway, if you want to catch me on the gram, I'm at niceguy.coffee. And on Telegram, It's t.me/theabusehour or associated chat t.me/rantroom. So check it out. Come in, talk some shit. Don't show up fear-fed. I'm not interested in that shit, man. You're not going to catch anybody doing anything in there anyway. Actually, go ahead and do show up, because probably there's some guys that want to share some ideas with you. Sweet? All right. So with that, then, I will let you go, man. So until next time, then, keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee. These are my takes.